So we got to watch A Question of Crimson early, and I have a lot of questions.
So the amazing people who work over at the Wheel of Time show on Amazon decided that we were worthy of watching the screeners for season 3. And oh my God, they were absolutely amazing. But before we get into our incredibly in-depth, spoiler-filled episode, I just want to start by thanking all of our people and our viewers who watch us every week and who support us through our Patreon. We absolutely could not continue to do this every week without you guys. And we want to make sure we are doing the very best for you and putting out the very best content. We absolutely love, as Thom always says, you awesome nerds. Also, as always, a huge thank you to our sponsor of Tor Books, who not only has filled multiple bookshelves in my house, but who are an amazing group of people who just absolutely put their hearts into what they do. And we love not only the Wheel of Time, but so many other authors from Tor as well.
Fair warning, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. If you want to see a non-spoilery review of these episodes, I did a video which you can find over on the Dragonmount YouTubes right now, as well as our episode 1 review. Our spoiler-filled episode 1 review. So yeah, A Question of Crimson.
This is so good. This is so good. I have so many notes on this episode.
One of the things that I called out specifically in the spoiler-free review was that a character's behavior changes a lot. And I feel like, and it's especially evident in this episode. So jumping right into it, it's this character right here, Morgase. Yes. Obviously gorgeous. Like Sharon Gillam did an amazing job with the outfits here. You know, this is such a very special moment for Morgase. This is her coronation. So this is going to be like dressed to the nines for everybody, obviously. Show Ray looking at just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Sharon Gillam, lead costume designer, amazing job. And Davina Lamont, hair and makeup, like also amazing job.
Show Ray's like, I know what's coming face.
Oh yeah.
Like you guys do not, but I do.
Oh yeah. I'm getting a little Handmaid's Tale vibe.
Yeah, very much. Very much.
I mean, I get enough of that in my daily real life with what's going on right now. But like, maybe that's poignant for, you know, how they're depicting Morgase. Is Morgase going to be more of a iron-fisted ruler than she is in the book? Like, she's a very benevolent ruler in the books. And here, obviously, she's seeming to be a little bit more ruthless, I think is a good word. The Lion Throne and the throne room of Andor looks gorgeous. It's very Victorian, the vaulted ceilings and the stained glass work, the way it's this circular room. It's very, it makes me think like Catholic Church a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah, honestly, especially with the candles too. I love the gold lions on the throne and how massive they are.
Oh yeah, gorgeous. I love the way the sun's coming through in this shot. I wonder if that was like post-production or if this is like an actual. No, obviously it's post-production. They didn't build this whole thing. Silly Thom. There you go. There's your lions. Pregnant with Elaine in this moment, probably, or maybe Galad or Gavin.
No, they both ran in. Galad
they
and
both ran in? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Well, no, he was carried in. He was still a baby.
Okay, so it is Elaine. Yeah. And then we have our 3 women here. Do you have their names in your notes?
I do not. I couldn't understand the third. I didn't write it.
I was looking to see if any of these were House Sarand. So
no,
because in my character in the books he fights for House Sarand in the books. So I was like, oh, maybe, but no, he was not. No reference to Galad being a Damodred at this point. Maybe as a result of what we find out in episode 3, Ravin's compulsion on.
Oh, that's true. Interesting.
Like, because we don't see Lord Gabriel here. And we do find out that, you know, later that Gabriel has only been out for a month, you know, oh, you've only been out for a month and you already have a queen. And he's like, well, and if you talk to any of them, you know, I've been around for a decade. So I think maybe, you know, he could have twisted their minds in such a way that they're not talking like the way they're not talking about it is because of that.
Interesting.
This guy looks a little familiar. I don't know, like maybe from another show or movie. If anyone in the comments knows where this guy is from, let me know.
So that's Godwin. He's still pretty young. He's like a year old right there.
And maybe Lenny, maybe our first shot of Lenny, possibly.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still hoping we get like a full Lenny. I think it's poignant that Elida is the one putting the crown on her head. Like she's in control of it, you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Well, and they allude to that later too, that she like kind of Elida determined early and kind of backed the right horse.
Yeah.
In the succession.
This cold open though was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. It was jarring for me when she was ordered them to be killed essentially, but the more I thought about it and the more I watched this episode and the more gays that I saw really kind of made me okay with it. It's a little bit less of an action-filled cold open, but still very emotionally driven, I feel like.
Oh, shocking. Shocking.
Yeah.
That's not who she was in the books at all.
No. And then we cut right to Elaine and her catching Varen and Liane discussing things in the hallway.
Yeah, did you hear it? I was like leaning. I turned it up really loud. Did you hear it?
I turned it up really loud.
Show her, or we need to something. I don't know. I have show her written down.
I did see that. And it was also like, there's only one of you. But like, so for those of you guys watching, the screeners don't have subtitles, which I feel like is kind of bad for any of our hearing impaired friends who may get screeners. But I'm sure if you're hearing impaired, you would tell them, and then they would probably be able to compensate for that. But like, there's no subtitle options for the screener, so. Hopefully when we actually get the full episode, we can turn the subtitles on and see at least partially what they're saying. Yeah. But she was like, "What are you talking about? I wasn't dropping no eaves on you." Me? Yeah. I loved that scene. Varen is asking, like, why is your mother's coronation music playing? So this was a surprise visit, and we learn it's because Morghese found out that Elaine was missing from the tower, possibly kidnapped, and Morghese showed up like unannounced essentially for this scene. So I assume, like
we assume is considered very rude. Like
definitely. And which is probably why Suan makes her wait. Mm-hmm. And this is their faces, by the way, while they're waiting. Especially, I loved that someone coughed. Like you hear someone cough, and then like, this is her being like, no, don't let them in yet. And then when someone coughs, they look like Morghese and Gabriel look over to the side, like where the person coughs from. I thought that was just, I don't know. I laughed at this scene. I had to pause because I was laughing. Then they welcome everyone in. Galad of House Trakand, Gawain of House. He's
okay. Gorgeous. Can we just talk about Gawain's hair for a minute? I'll get it all right.
Boo. Like, how is Egwene going to be like you?
No.
Like, I choose you. Not. I really hope she doesn't, to be honest with you.
Like, he is a fine-looking man, but that haircut is doing him no favors.
I don't know. I want to call attention to winged ear accoutrement on Gabriel here. We get some better shots of that in a minute, but the strong insinuation that this is Ravine for book readers from Rafe and, I guess Davinia and Sharon, who did the costuming and maybe made the ear thing, is strong. Like Ravine is always described as having winged bits of gray hair in his thing. And this is literally a wing. Like it's shaped like a wing. I have a better shot of it later from when he's talking to Elaine. Again, Shorey looking gorgeous, beautiful hair. Again, a new design for her hair, looking great. Showing that time has passed too, because her hair is much longer in these two, where in that other scene, her hair was very short from the
go back to that one for a second. The indifference that she is able to put on her face is
this was her welcome daughter face.
Wonderful. It's wonderful. She's like, "Oh, you're home. Do you need money? Why are you here?"
Welcome, daughter.
But of course, we find out they were rivals for the Amaryllis seed. So
makes sense. Indignation in Morghese's face here is also very evident.
I hope that people feel better at this point when they see this Waygate, because this is beautiful. This is what I needed. And so apparently this is what happens when there's not a channeler who's able to open it. This is
channelers can open it, and when channelers open it, they open it one way, but when an Ogier or a non-channeler opens it, they use the trefoil leaf, which I like. It's agreed.
Now he put it back to close the door, but he took it with him. So are we implying that it cannot be opened right now if he takes it?
You know what? I don't think so. I think the implication here, he didn't lock it. He didn't say he was locking it. I think we're going to see him do something else to lock it later. I think the idea here is if you place the trefoil leaf there. It could open it. Maybe other trefoil leaves open it. Like there was that deleted scene from season 1 with Pat and Fane with a trefoil leaf hanging from a necklace.
He kind of just has his own. He's an
Maybe
Ogier.
he has his own trefoil leaf, yeah, to open up any waygate, maybe.
Okay.
You know, because this is him taking the trefoil leaf. Like this is him taking it back out. Like he takes it.
You can kind of see the impression of it there too.
Yeah.
Where it was. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Elaine going to see her brothers for the first time. Well, this is her face seeing
with going,
Gavin.
Oh, I love you.
Yeah. And again, beautiful doors.
Are you going to rank your, like, okay, season 3?
I should. I really should just compile all of the doors and rank them all.
He just looks smarmy. I don't like it.
He does look smarmy. I'm hoping maybe it's the compulsion, but here you go. You get a better shot here.
Yep.
Very wing-like.
Mm-hmm.
If you're, looking for that type of thing. I loved that we got a attempt at healing Matt here. Yeah. This is very reminiscent to the books as well.
I thought this was interesting so there was one sister melding the flows, but then each sister was kind of contributing a different element. Like this looks like she has spirit and she has fire, and then the woman at the top, I forget her
water
name.
Maybe because it's blue.
It is kind of blue.
It is kind of blue. I don't know. It could be both. It could be spirit, water, air. This could be fire and spirit. There could be lots of mixture.
But it's somehow
maybe it looks like a little. Together. This could be the plant behind the
earth and fire.
Yeah,
and
it could be the plant behind it, but it also could be green. Little bits in there. I don't know.
But that was interesting. I don't think we've talked about linking in that way where they're contributing different elements
parts of the weave,
rather than just their strength. Because I think in the book it's strength.
Are they even linking? Or are they just channeling into the weave itself? You know what I mean? The way they've shown linking in the TV show, even it's more of
they're putting their power together
and then one person, they're just channeling through them, where this seems like they are channeling into this weave.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
See, it seems like the sister at the top is definitely the only one that's touching Matt with the weaves. So I don't know. That's interesting.
I like how the weaves look similar, in shape. If you look at the two weaves, if I zoom in a little bit so that you could see the shape of the yellow one better, and then the shape of the blue one, they look very similar. They have they have 3 fat portions of thinner parts of the weave kind of braiding together, and they both kind of look like they're doing the same kind of thing.
I thought it was interesting that Matt made the choice to willingly have the one power used on him. That was definitely not who he was in the books as much, but
they've gotten away from them being, I felt like that was more their fear of Aes Sedai and the One Power, and they seem to be more familiar with them in the show than they were in the book.
That's fair.
Her seeing Mummy for the first time. This was a great scene. I really wasn't sure how Morghese was going to react. I kept waiting for her to turn into Mummy Dearest. You know what I mean? Just to turn evil on her. But no, she was being genuine and open with her, it felt like, through most of it. And we get more of our sword training scene, which was great. I know everyone was waiting with bated breaths to see our sword training with Lan and Rand, and I thought it was great. We got some great shots when Perrin and Bane and Chiad and Loyal are going through here. One thing we didn't mention before, but we can talk about now that we have our group back together again, the reference to the longing.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a steading. I hope this season.
This season?
I don't know. I hope we get to see that because that's going to be really beautiful. But do you remember what else happened? We got so distracted by the Waygate. Right as Perrin comes out of the Waygate, he sniffs.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was
that.
Yeah. He comes out and he sniffs and he's like, I smell. There's other people that have been through here.
Yeah, and they mention ash specifically, it smells like ash, and we find out later what that ash is. It's actually the cremated remains of it's Ivan. That ash is Ivan, and that's sad.
That's very sad. Yay, we're back home.
Back home, and Perrin checking out his blacksmith shop, and notable lack of blacksmiths. Still, they haven't found a new one, which makes sense. A small town in the middle of a valley
kind of
and
nowhere.
Yeah. They haven't been able to replace their blacksmith yet. No one really kind of calls attention to them being there. No one comes running up to Perrin really until Mr. Salvir grabs them and brings them into the inn. We see Alana and Maxim there already.
The lack of reaction to the Ogier. So that
Also was interesting, yeah.
They're maybe more common.
Well, in the show, they seem to be a lot more familiar with everything, like Aes Sedai, channeling. Like, they didn't, obviously they weren't super familiar with Trollocs, but they weren't like, oh, they're not real. Like, there was no like, oh my God, I didn't think they were real. And then here they are. Like, it was
are just kind of more worldly in general. They're older.
Everyone, even the people, just everyone in the Two Rivers, like the familiarity with things. I'm not sure if I dislike it or like it. It's just, it definitely is different though than the books. The scene that we get also later with her and Perrin, when she tells everyone what the ash is on her face, is very poignant. The fact that they're helping defend the Two Rivers right now, fighting Trollocs. I love how Maxim says there's a couple wandering in the woods right now. The fact that Maxim is the one that says that specifically, I feel like is poignant because we know that warders can sense shadow spawn. I feel like this is further like confirmation from some of the things that Lan said in season 2 that warders do have that ability in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Maxim saying that he gets into Trollocs, and then we're back to the White Tower. And in the White Tower, one of the first things we see is, Morgaze having a little private conversation with Elaida. They're finally sharing the information that they've gathered separately. Morgaze
notes, really.
Yeah. Obviously they're keeping something from us. Even my own daughter's keeping something from us. And I liked how Elaida clocked on the way into the hall of the tower the little bit of damage still on one of the pillars.
Yeah, she definitely has seen something has happened here.
For sure. I really like these overhead shots of the tower too, like seeing the tower grounds and how big they are. Like, because where people thought the tower grounds might be small, you can actually see there's a lot going on inside the tower grounds. There's whole other areas even. So like even in this image, like you could see the warder training yard even over here.
Oh, and yeah, that is what that is. Okay. I was like, it looks like a well.
Yeah, no, definitely the warder. Like you could see there's people, and maybe even these are like the weapon holders or something. But then like this one is a little bit more green, so maybe this is one of the outdoor gardens. There's
the library will have the novice court,
Maybe this would be great if this was the library. Oh my God. Only because I just want a gigantic library. I wish I could go live in it. The grounds are definitely extensive. It's not just the White Tower and then immediately to the city. There's definitely large outdoor areas and interconnected areas. Like the warder's training yard isn't just inside the tower. It's like, you exit the tower and then the warder's training yard, which is very much like it was in the books. And I know a lot of people were kind of iffy on how the tower was set up and where everything was, but you could definitely see in this shot that here is the warder's training yard, and there are many other exterior buildings and open areas outside the tower. And I like that a lot. I like Varen using Min inside the tower. Also, Min kind of said she feels like she's doing this as a way to repent for working with Ishamael and Leandrin. Do you think she knew Leandrin was Black Aja then? Like the whole time in season 2? Because she was working for Ishamael and she knew Ishamael was Ishamael.
Probably. Yeah.
That's huge. Like that is huge for her not to have divulged that. Like that's I mean, I get it was she was being
that's probably gonna come out then.
Yeah. I mean, she was selfishly trying to get this power, her curse is she thinks of it taken away. But like that's big to like be working, like not to tell the other Aes Sedai that there's a black sister, and like that's big. It's big, very big. And I'm sure that's not gonna come back to bite her in the ass.
Yes.
Yes, them being all like
the Andoran princes are here.
I know. Yeah, and like there they are. Oh my God!
We're so excited.
I definitely think one of them is Els Grinwell.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I'm gonna say it's the one in the middle.
That's what I was gonna say. She's a little plump, very cute.
Yeah, and the way Rafe teased us with Matt playing with the swords. Oh, I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad they did that. Here it comes. Like, I'm so glad that they we were like, oh, everyone was like, oh my God, it's going to happen. And then it didn't. And then there's the scene where he's actually training with the staff and then he puts it back. And, obviously we do get it, but like, I'm so glad he teased us with it. I'm just so glad. I was actually saying, I hope he teases us with it. I think I said it. I remember. I forgot who I was talking to, but I said, I hope they tease us with it. Like, I hope they like drop little tidbits and then they give it to us, like maybe in a whole nother episode. But Suan's lockbox on her desk is gorgeous. Like I loved that they included her like, you know, secret note box, and I'm hoping we see like someone try to maybe open that at some point.
I hope we see more of that. Yeah, that was definitely put there for book fans.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rafe.
So I like how we're seeing Lanfear simultaneously between Rand and Egwene in the dreams.
Yeah.
Like, one, it shows how crazy she is. Like, she's being this like way with Rand where it's loving and like,
she's almost whatever. She's so sweet and reflective, and they're you know, talking about what could have been.
Where if you don't, and talking about like maybe being together and being able to break her dark oath, and then jumping to her torturing Egwene.
Oh yeah. Well, also Egwene is sleeping with her man.
Yeah.
She's absolutely not about that.
Either showing us that like she's always going to be an evil, horrible person, or she's lying to Rand and this is all just a ploy. Like, but I feel like it's probably
she's got the same goal as Maureen right here. She's still trying to push him towards Calendor. That's what she wants for him, is to go get Calendor, and so she has to put that in his head right here.
Very true. Egwene escaping into Tel'aran'rhiod proper is interesting. Like, I feel like when she's in the scene where she's being choked, that's her dream, and Lanfear is in her dream with her. If we're going to get the two parts of Tel'aran'rhiod where we get like, or three,
you don't think Lanfear's pulled her in?
I don't know. So like, it depends on if we get Tel'aran'rhiod the way it is depicted in the book. So like there's kind of like three parts to it. There's each individual person's dreams, which can be entered by dreamwalkers and people who can go into Tel'aran'rhiod. Then we have the place in between Tel'aran'rhiod and people's dreams, which is like that big emptiness.
Yeah.
And then we have Tel'aran'rhiod proper. So it depends on how they're depicting in the show. Like, the way I looked at it in this particular scene was either Lanfear brought Egwene into Tel'aran'rhiod and was torturing her, and Egwene like ran away to the waste, or Lanfear was in Egwene's own dream torturing her, and then she escaped to Tel'aran'rhiod. It's one of those two things. Either is plausible and possible, but the fact that she ran obviously to the waste, they're in the waste at this point, so that makes sense. But also like she might have just been searching for help.
Searching for a way. Yeah. Ooh, that's a thought.
You know what I mean? Like, I need help. And we know in the books, Tel'aran'rhiod, when you search for something like with such strong need, you get closer to the thing. So like, she was like, I need help. And Tel'aran'rhiod brought her to Bear. Not Bear, right? Yeah, Bear.
It is Bear, yeah.
Yeah, Bear. Yeah. So in the books, they brought her to Hermes, but here brought her to Bear. And it's Bear in her cat and sword with her spears too, dressed as a maid, playing as a maiden in her dreams, which is interesting. I was hoping for a reference to that in the thing.
This made me, I had to pause it here because I was laughing so hard as Matt is being tortured that the princes are getting to enjoy themselves and he is not.
Oh yeah. I love that he's in between the two of them too.
And when he's talking, like Min walks in and he's like, and that's Galad.
That's good. Yeah. It's absolutely hilarious. Like, that's his face, by the way, when he was just about before he says it. He's so angry.
He was the shiny object in the tower. He was the fucking hero, the blower of the horn. And now these princes show up and he's nobody again.
Matt and Min interacting here is poignant because, you know, obviously there's some bad blood between them a little. Like, you know, Matt feels betrayed that she, you know, was kind of helping the Black Aja and Ishamael kind of capture him, and that is essentially what happened. I think they exchange words here where it's, you know, like, you know, she's trying to apologize and he's like, well, you haven't said it yet. And then, you know, she finally says, you know, I'm sorry. And I hope they mend this relationship because I do really like the two of them together.
I think they're working on it. I think they will. Oh, another pretty door.
Another very pretty door. I loved this door. Yes, this was
not my favorite door. It's not the best.
It's not, but it's very nice.
Door.
Like, I just want all of these doors in my house. I think Elaine playing with the crown here is still a way to show that she's, you know, maybe like, obviously she's thinking about being queen, but she's also like, this is like a little bit of a childish thing to do, to like try on your mother's crown, like in this scene. Yeah. Like, I think it's a way to show the viewer she's still a little like, you know, childish, maybe, you know, the way she is doing this here. Lord Gabriel comes in and interrupts her, and they talk about, you know, their time in Camelin together. But, you know, obviously we know now that that's Ravine. So I do like the way he's crafted this story for them.
Yeah, in his story, like, he and Elaine are very close. They're good buddies. They have like a father-daughter kind of relationship. And those darn boys, all they do is train with the sword. It seems like they have a very close and affectionate relationship. But do you want to talk about like the thing he mentions here that like my ears instantly were
I also like that he talks about how insufferable Galad is. It's just I thought that was great. But anyway, no, what do you whatever do you mean?
He tells her about her mom having to dismiss Brine. I think he just says General Brine. I don't even think he says, but we obviously know who this is in reference to. I was curious if we were gonna get that, where that was going to go. So I was happy to hear him mentioned. So I've kind of wondered, do you remember when he's introduced earlier in this episode and he walks in and Leanna's looking at him and she's like, oh, and I'm so sorry, Lord Gabriel. Like she has this moment of pause because clearly he's using compulsion to get her to, you know who he knows who he is. Do you think it's harder with channelers and that's why he's kind of weaving more of this story for Elaine than maybe he would have to do with the boys who can't channel? He's having to kind of fill in some gaps. I don't know.
Maybe for sure. Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. And maybe, you know, relative strength in the one power comes into play too.
And he's not very strong. He was one of the weaker Forsaken, right?
Yeah. Well, one of the weaker Forsaken is still saying a lot, but yes.
But I mean, in terms of his
relative power, I feel like where he might sit equal with like Suan and Liane maybe, or maybe still probably a little bit ahead of them. But the idea that they couldn't see him channeling or feel him channeling obviously makes sense. So like this is a great another like how we talked about in episode 1. You know, does Egwene see Rand channeling here? Like maybe not. Like maybe that was just for the viewer because like we're seeing from a different perspective here, and you know, Ravine could be channeling in that scene and we don't see anything. But so we're seeing from, you know, the Aes Sedai perspective in that scene. So like Ravine and the Shadow by extension want Elaine to get back in Camelin so that they can get her under their thumb probably.
So like, he can control her too.
Yeah. So then we move on to Matt being scolded by Suan, which I thought was great.
Her delivery and her approach is absolutely fantastic. I feel like we see a little bit more of the fisherman's daughter in these 3 episodes than we have. I even see her walk that is so distinctive of what I would think Suan's walk would be like. And I can't remember where that fits, but this whole conversation with Matt where she's like, oh yeah, you would never just parade around Tarvalon talking about being the horn blower or use the horn to coerce novices. No, not you.
That's the face that he made right as she was saying.
But while this was perfect for the two of them, I also wonder if this is the moment that Rafe was talking about in one of the interviews where he was like, we are going to get a word for word kind of verbatim retelling of that story of Suan's uncle and how she compares Matt to like, are you going to be there when the flames are high? Like that was, I don't have the book in front of me, but I think that was almost word for word from the text.
I'm pretty sure it was. The way she can read Matt like that is great because she knows Matt's true heart there. Like she knows he's not just a scoundrel. And I like that they're playing that up a little bit more, where I really feel like a lot of especially the female characters in the books always look at Matt as like the scoundrel and the idiot and like they never, but like them being able to see through that facade that he puts up. Again, I hate to say that I like it, but you know, I like that we also got that backstory of his family trauma, and that's kind of why he puts that facade up as like a form of defense. And the fact that these women can see through that to his true self is, I like it. I like that better than them always just kind of writing him off like they did in the book. And I feel like, you know, this scene is right. Like these 2 shots are one right after the other. And this is right after she took the horn. So like, I feel like he was like happy that she took the horn, but he also looks like a little bit like, oh, that's like, you know, that's mine, or that's like the reason why I'm important. Like he looks a little
Forlorn, maybe.
maybe
Yeah.
forlorn or mournful, like he's losing part of himself almost.
Well, I think we have to remember Matt's backstory is a little bit different in the television show too. His family was poor. We know that his dad is a drunk and has, you know, a slightly different background. So for him to have any sort of like social standing or significance and then to have that taken away, I'm sure is a shot to his ego and then also just him in general.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next part, the thing I have written down is they hint at Tigraine's story. So it's the conversation that she has with Elaine right here.
Yeah. The last daughter heir to go off on her own disappeared and never returned. Yeah. And then she says there was no Queen
Tigraine. Yeah.
Tigraine. Yeah. I'm glad they kept that whole thing in. And this is a great way to do it in a very compact way. You know, we all know, we've all seen the Blood Snow, and soon we'll see Ruidian, and now we have the name to the face, or the Wetlander name to Shail.
It's hard to explain all the story building that takes place in the books, so their ability to just kind of drop pieces of it throughout is wonderful. Okay, here it is. This is the other scene that I was talking about. It feels to me as if she can see, because Rand raises his hand and he's talking to her about like the sweetness of embracing the power. And then he's talking about the taint, and look at her eyes, and she's looking at his hand. And he's talking about like the sickly sweet, seeping within you. And she's looking right at him. And so is she seeing fire? Because he's channeling pure
fire. Yeah.
I don't know. It feels to me like she can see what he's doing.
I can definitely see that in this scene, like for sure. Like she's definitely seeing something. Whether or not she's, I don't think she's seeing him channel, only because of that other scene with Ravine and other things that we've seen. What we really need is a good scene of them talking about it, like how they see each other's weaves. Like, we had that scene in the books, specifically in the Stone of Tyr, with Elaine and Egwene trying to teach Rand.
Yeah.
and them talking about the differences between the two. And I really hope we do get a scene like that, especially now that we have, accepted Elaine and Egwene together, and Nynaeve. So like, maybe we can have a scene of them trying to do something like that at some point. I really
hear what our other brains, our friends, think about this when we get this posted.
So then our next thing here is, we see, Morghese did concede to Egwene. Like, I mean, not Egwene. Morghese did concede to Elaine and allow her to stay. I was half expecting her to just be like, and we're taking her in this scene. Like,
now, question: what happened right before this little part was we see Elaine confronting her mom and saying, "I'm going to go through the arches tonight." And we talked about this in the previous episode. I think that's another illustration of like the arches don't seem like that big of a deal. Like they were life or death, and it was a very big deal. And they're kind of just, I don't know, this token thing you have to get past, which I'm not sure I love. If I have any notes about these episodes, that might be one little thing.
Yeah. They played it up a bit more in season 2 with Nynaeve and the danger of when she went in. But yeah, no, like the lack of warning to them.
Yeah.
Where they really could have done it with like a throwaway line, just like, you shouldn't do it. Like, we shouldn't be rushed because they're so dangerous. Like you might not be prepared. Like that's all you would really need is just a throwaway.
They do say the way back.
I do like that they did that they did actually include that. Yeah. The way will come but once, be steadfast. Yeah. I did like that.
It's a lot to put in. It's a lot to put into these episodes.
It's true. It's very true.
He is so handsome. He's so handsome.
I love Bear and Ruark. Like Bjorn as Ruark is fantastic. His voice is great. His whole
he's
wonderful.
Himself, his presence, and he's very he's broad through the chest. He looks so much like what I thought Ruark would look like.
Abso-freaking-lutely. So good. And again, just I talk about it a lot, the differences in like, obviously, she's a maiden of the spear. He's I don't even remember what sept he belonged to, but not sept, sept. What do they call the different, like, he's a stone dog, she's a maiden, there are this, and then there's the Tardette. There's so many layers to the Aiel.
It's also very late at night, so we're gonna...
That's fair. I don't remember what he belonged to, but obviously, you know, she's a maiden, he's not a maiden. They have different armors and stuff. You know, we'll see a bunch of maidens on screen and a bunch of male Aiel on screen, and all of their armor looks different. It's all very personal to them, which makes sense for an Aiel, because it's not like they're going to an armor smith. Like, you know, they're going to have, there's probably either they make it themselves, they take pieces from family members and from people they defeat probably, and like all kinds of stuff. So I really do like how, again, Sharon Gillam and Davina Lamont did an amazing freaking job crafting these styles, especially with such a small color palette and like available texture and fabric, because like they're people of the desert. Like they're not going to have access to a whole variety of things. And because of the way that they dress, you know, the Cotton Sora has to blend into their surroundings because they're so stealthy. She can't play with the color too much. So the lack of her ability to really expand off things, but be able to make such stark, different, beautiful things is super evident in
she uses a lot of texture to show and to illustrate the differences here.
Yeah, you can really see it with the way.
And a question, do they reference the spine of the world at all yet in the show? I don't remember them talking about it, but it was as in this scene, they came up over the hill and they're looking down from the spine of the world over the Aiel waste. And I just started thinking, I don't think they've called it that. I don't think they've said that.
Yeah, I don't think so. Not yet, but we do get reference to the spine of the world later. Yes. But I don't think they've said it yet specifically. Yeah.
This is a good way to use exposition to tell his story and who Rand is supposed to be a little bit here. Yeah.
I like the relationship that they're showing between Bear and Roark. Like the way they exchange things is very much like he was with Amis in the book and Bear in the book, but Amis in these scenes particular. But yeah, freaking gorgeous.
That's it.
So much in this episode. Yes. All in all, I absolutely loved this episode. You know, we got a lot of confirmation of different abilities from our characters. Perrin sniffing, the longing, Maxim sensing the Ogier. We see compulsion.
The links Maureen will go to right now.
Oh God,
who she is.
You know, the possibility of that coming back to bite her in the ass at some point is strong. I'm really interested to seeing how that gets brought back up again, if it gets brought back up again. Yep. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the slopes of Dragonmount. Make sure to go and hit that like and subscribe button, share with some friends and family if you are enjoying our content, and go over to dragonmount.com to check out all of our other amazing things that we do. We have tons of articles, Kitty over on our TikTok, constantly doing her shenanigans. You never know what character she's going to dress up as. She is a working actress and she does flex her acting muscles with her nonsense that she gets up to. I love her though. She's been a dear friend for like almost 20 years. Speaking of dear friends, I love all of you awesome nerds, and we will see you next time. Peace.
And that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, please subscribe, hit the like button, give us a thumbs up, or leave us a comment. We love comments, especially positive ones. And if you have any friends that are interested in the Wheel of Time, please share some of our videos with them. And as always, a huge thank you to our sponsor, Tor Books, as well as our amazing Patreon community. And if you are interested in learning about how more of this show was made or some Wheel of Time insights, you too can become a member of the Patreon community. And as always, follow us on Dragonmount with social media. And thank you so much for watching.